Welcome to the APS Educational Technology Google Sites instructional video. To get started, you want to be sure that you are signed in to both your Chrome browser and your Google account using your APS credentials. When I hover over my image icon, as I've already updated my profile, and click on my image icon, I can see that I am signed in using my APS credentials, galvis@aps.edu. As I hover over my image icon for my Google account, I can see that I am signed in using my APS credentials as well. It is important to make sure that you have your sync turned on to your Google account. My sync is on. It is important to make sure that sync is on because Chrome browser was designed by Google to seamlessly partner with your APS Google account. Therefore, all bookmarks, extensions that are pushed out by the district and search histories will be saved on the cloud rather than on your device. There are a couple of ways to access your Google Sites app. You can go to the gray waffle icon next to your image icon and click on that and scroll down to find Sites. Or you can type in your Google search bar sites.google.com. To create a new site, I'm going to click on the plus image icon found at the bottom right-hand corner of my screen. Google Sites is just what it sounds like. It is a website building platform from Google. It is a wonderful tool to use for your professional and classroom organization, including student electronic portfolios, a teacher website, classroom digital repository for students, and so much more. If you are in your Google Drive, there are a couple of ways to access Google Sites from Google Drive. If you go to your gray waffle icon, also known as your app launcher, and scroll down until you find Google Sites, you can access Google Sites. Or you can go to your Google search bar, type in sites.google.com, and access Google Sites. Or you can go to the New button, click on it, scroll down to More, and then scroll down until you find Google Sites. To name your site, at the top left, click Untitled Site. Enter the name of your site file. And press enter. Note that once you name your untitled site, that becomes your site file name, and it can be different from your page title. I'm going to go to my page title, highlight it, and change it to the title I want on my Google site. We can now change the look of our site starting with our header image. By hovering over my title text box, I have the option to change my image. By clicking on the drop-down arrow, I can either upload an image from my device or I can select an image. I'm going to select an image, and here I have options to select an image from the image gallery. By URL, I can search for an image, or I can use an image from my album or from my Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and select an image from my gallery, and as you see, there are several options for the images you would like to select. I'm going to go here to the More, and I have a couple more options. So I'm just going to select an image Once I choose that by clicking on it, then I press select, click select, and now it changes my header image. Note that Google Sites automatically adjusts image brightness for best readability. By clicking on Themes from the side menu panel, I can choose the style of my theme. So I'm going to choose this diplomat style and see how it changes it. Already it changes the style throughout my site, and I can also choose to change the color. And I can choose to also change the font style. I can go classic, or I can choose a light or a heavy option and see how that changes. Note that changing your font style here to classic, light, or heavy will affect all text styles throughout your site. All headings, subheadings, titles, etc. will change their look based on your selection here. Now let's take a look at adding a logo, favicon, and announcement banner to your site. Adding a logo can be a great way to create a custom look for your site. To add a logo, you will need to be in your home page, as we already are. By hovering over your site name on the upper left-hand corner, you will see the option to add a logo. Click on Add a Logo, and here you can upload or select an image for your logo. You can upload an image from your device, or you can select an image. I'm going to choose to upload an image, and I'm going to go scroll down and see if I find, put my nephew in here, open that image, and it will load onto the logo section here. The image will load there, and you can simply exit out of it, and now my logo will appear just to the left of my site name. If you choose to select an image, you will have an option to select an image by URL or do a Google image search. You can choose it, select an image from your photos or from your Google Drive. Exiting out of the Select Images menu will take you back to your Settings menu where you can add a logo. You can also add a favicon from this Settings menu. A favicon can be a great way of adding some professional flair to your site. It is a small icon that appears next to the title of your site in the Browser tab once your site is published. To add a favicon, you simply can either upload your image or your icon, your image icon, or you can select an image. From the same Settings menu, you can also add an announcement banner to your site. An announcement banner is a great way to highlight important information in a clear and custom way. To add an announcement banner, simply select the announcement banner, and here you can customize your banner. Here you have the option to tap your banner off and on, change your banner color, and down below you can add the message for your banner. So I'm just going to add, I have recently been accepted to the National Junior Honor Society. For more information, click the following button. Okay, so there is my message, and you can go up to 150 letters or characters and letters. Down below, you can add a button. You must label your button, so I'm going to choose National Junior Honor Society. And I'm just going to put the acronym. So if you choose to add a button, you must also add a link. So I'm going to go and paste my link. Here's my link, which I took from up top from my website I had already looked into. So I put my link there, and I can choose to open it in a new tab, or also the visibility, I can put it in my only to display on my home page or all my pages. I'm just going to let it display, allow it to display on all my pages. Once you do that, you can exit out, as all banner changes are auto-saved and applied as soon as you publish, but we'll be able to see the banner once we exit out. And there is my banner at the top. And here's my button next to my banner. So when I click on that, it'll automatically take me to the web page. And it gave me a redirect notice, and that's only because my site has not been published yet. Okay? But this button will automatically link you to the site. Now, there's more than one ways to get to your announcement banner. You can go to hover over the Add Logo and go to the announcement banner here. Or at the top right, under the gear icon, I can click on Settings, and I can get to my announcement banner this way as well.
There are many options for adding content to your site. On my right side panel, by selecting the Insert tab, I have several options for adding content to my site. By selecting the text box, clicking on that will automatically insert a text box into my site. When adding text, I will have 5 styles to choose from. Each style will change the size and font style for your text. Be mindful that these will change based on the font style that you chose in the theme panel. Here I also have a menu for other options. I can bold my text, italicize, I can choose the alignment of my text. I can add bullets and a numbered list as well. I'm going to type in all about me. Once I type this in, I can choose what type of text style I would like. So I'm going to go ahead and choose title, all about me. And I can also choose, by highlighting it, I can go to bold, and it'll bold my title as well, or my text. When I hover over the left-hand side here, I have options to select a background for my text box. I can choose by clicking on this little paint palette icon. I can click on that, and now I have options to do different emphasis on my background, on my text background. I can choose emphasis 1, which will do a light type of emphasis on my background, or I can choose a emphasis 2, which will do a darker emphasis on my background. Okay, I can also choose a image for my background, I can either upload or select an image. I'm going to go ahead and choose select an image. And I can select an image again from my gallery, from this gallery by URL. I can search for an image. I can choose an image from my albums, or I can choose an image from my Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to more options here. And I'm going to choose this image by clicking on it, and then I'm going to click select. And there it will automatically insert my image to the background, my text box background. And note that once you insert your background to your text box, it will automatically adjust for readability. You can choose to remove that option by hovering over the bottom corner here, right hand corner, and you can remove the readability adjustment. When I click on my text box, within my text box, you'll see that these handles, these little handles appear here, and those handles will allow you to adjust your box, move it around within your page, your site page. Right now we're in our home page, so it allows me to move the text box around, and it also allows me to adjust or to expand vertically my text box. Okay. I can adjust it vertically as well. Okay. Another option is to duplicate my text box by hovering over here on the left hand side. And clicking on this duplicate icon, it will automatically insert another text box. It will duplicate my text box. I can choose that duplicate option as many times as I'd like. Okay. Once I've done that, I can go in and change my text. I can say school year goals. I can also choose my future goals. And if you're working with middle school or high school students, you can also choose my academic plan. I can also either insert a new text box, or I can duplicate this section because it already has my background in it. I can duplicate it, and I can delete the content in the text box to allow students to fill in their own content. I could do that for each of the sections. And now it's creating the option for students to enter their own content. And if I've added one too many text boxes, I can always go and remove or delete that text box by choosing the little trash can by clicking on the little trash can icon. It will delete the section. So I started thinking that the look of my site was a bit too busy, and that had to do a lot with the text box background that I selected. So it's an easy fix. I went into my paint palette icon, click on that, and I chose emphasis 1. I did it to each section, and now the look of my site is a little, it changes the look of my site to a more structured and less busy look. Okay, Let's go ahead and take a look at inserting images. To insert an image, I go back to my right side panel here with my menu options and click on the insert, which we're already at the insert. You can click on images. You can either upload an image or you can select an image. If you choose to upload an image, you will upload an image from that's stored in your hard drive on your computer or on a device. If you select an image, it'll give you the options for selecting an image by URL, doing a Google search image from your photos or from your Google Drive. Embed allows you to embed web content on your site. Embedded content like a website or video will have the same look and feel as the original source content. By selecting Embed, you can embed content from the web by URL, by copying the URL and pasting it in here, or by HTML, by simply copying the HTML code and pasting it here. By clicking on your Drive icon, you can add content from your drive. You can add content from a shared drive or content that has been shared with you. Later in this instructional video, we will be practicing these different types of ways to add content to your site. Below your options to insert a text box, images, embed a link, or content from your drive are the layout options of how you want each page in your site, what you want that layout to look like. Here you have about 6 different options, layout options to choose from. Below your layout options are other options for adding content into your Google site pages. Okay, we will explore those a little bit more as we add pages to our site. So let's go ahead and add pages to our site. We can add pages to our site by simply going to our right side menu panel and clicking our Pages tab. Once I'm in my Pages tab, I can scroll all the way down to the little plus icon here at the bottom of my panel, and I can click on New Page. Once I select adding a new page, I'm automatically prompted to title my new page. So I'm going to title it Announcements and click Done. Now that page is automatically inserted into my site, my Google site, and I have now, it titles the page for me, Announcements. So I already have my title. Now I can choose the layout for my page, my announcement page, by going to the Insert tab, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to choose a layout for my announcement page. By clicking on the layout that I want for my page from the Insert tab, it immediately inserts it into my page. So now I can name each section by just clicking on where it says click to edit text. I click on it and now I can name it, add text. And again, I can go in and change. I can choose to make my text bold. Okay, I can, right now I have it under heading, but I can also do a title, kind of font style. Okay, so I can do updates here, and here I can choose, so I'm going to choose my title right away, my title font style, and I'm going to bold it right away so that, and I'm going to do celebrations. Okay. And there you have your my two updates and celebrations under my announcements. Let's go ahead and add a couple of pages to our site so that we can add content to them. So my next page I'm going to add is my syllabus page. Done. We'll do a syllabus. We'll do an assignments. And let's do a resources. Okay, so now we have a couple of pages that we can work with here, and I see which pages were created that I created because I can see them on my right side panel here. I see all of the pages that I created. Now, if I hover over next to my selected page here, let's, for example, go into the announcements, the three little dots, what some refer to as a snowman, those dots will give you other options for each page. So I'm going to go ahead and click on those, and it gives me an option to make my announcement page, because that's what I have selected right now, to make it my home page. I can duplicate my page. I can, under properties, I can go in and rename it through my properties. Okay. I can also add a sub page to each of my pages. For example, under my announcements, I can do a celebration Mirage. So this is my sub page, and now that celebration Mirage will appear right under as a sub page under my announcement page. I can also choose to hide from my navigation any of my pages. I can hide it from my navigation. So up here at the top, here's my navigation bar. I see that I have my home page, my announcement page, and this little drop down arrow indicates that my announcement page has a sub page. Then I have my resources, assignments, and my syllabus. So I can choose to, if I go into one of my pages and I choose to, I can go into the three little dots and choose to hide it from my navigation. If I choose that option, now it's no longer in my navigation bar. And I see that there's an arrow, a line through my resource page indicating that that page is not viewable. And that's a good option to have in case we want to build content in a page, or resources want to build our content ahead of time and we don't want it published on our site right away. We can choose to build it all and then go back and show it later by clicking on the three little dots. I can choose to show in navigation again once I'm ready with all of my content, and at the time of that I'm ready for it to be published, then I can choose the option to show in navigation. Click that option and here it is back on my navigation bar. Okay, so now I've noticed that my resource page is actually, I wanted it to be at the end of my pages, the last thing that people or who are viewing my site, whoever's in my site, the last thing that they access. So I'm going to go ahead and I want it to be at the end rather than in between my announcement and my assignment page. So all I have to do is click on it, drag and drop it. Just drag and drop. And now it's put it at the end of my site pages. And here it is also last on my side menu panel here. Let's add our page layouts for each of the pages we've created. So I'm in my assignment page, my assignments. I'm going to go to my Insert tab in my right side menu panel. And I can choose my layout. Again, I have 6 options to choose from. I can choose my layout by double clicking or dragging and dropping. Okay. There's my layout for my assignments. I'm going to go back to pages and I'm going to click on my syllabus page. And I'm going to insert my layout for my syllabus page. And there it is. And lastly, I'm going to do my resource page. There it is. I'm going to go back to insert and I'm going to double click there. Okay. Now that we've added our page layouts, we can go into each of our layouts and each of our pages rather and add our content. By clicking on this plus icon, I am given options for adding content to my page. So I can upload again from my hard drive on my computer or from a device. I can select an image. I can select content for my drive, YouTube, calendar, map. So I'm going to select content for my drive. And I'm going to select this slide presentation. Once I select the slide presentation by clicking on it, it prompts me whether I want to insert the slide or not. So I go into insert, I choose insert, and now my slide presentation is inserted in my site page. Here at the bottom, I can relay a message to my students. Let's go ahead and I can change my font style. And I'm going to say, please watch the following slide presentation by Thursday and prepare for discussion on Friday. Okay, so there you have it. Now you have I have my slide presentation under updates, and I also have a note to my students. Under celebrations, I can choose to upload a calendar. So if I click on calendar and go to celebrate birthdays, how appropriate, insert that. And now I will have my birthday calendars on here. I see that my calendar was added in agenda view. So I would like for it to show my monthly calendar for my birthday calendar. So I will have to go into my calendar settings by double clicking on my calendar. Now I have my calendar settings option. I can scroll all the way down and click on the drop down arrow and choose month. In view mode, I have the option of selecting my view to be by month, week, or by my agenda. So I'm going to choose my month, view by month, click done, And now I have my calendar view by month. And here at the bottom, again, I can add my content, my text, and I will write a message. Happy birthday, Lily. Let's go into my assignments page now. In my assignments page, I've populated it with a couple of options, such as autobiography, if you're having the students write an autobiography, academic achievements, extracurricular activities, and service to my community. As we're building this site, I've given you a blend of both the teacher and the student perspective. Let's take a look at adding an image to a page, resizing it, cropping, deleting, and editing that image. I'm going to select my celebration Mirage here from my right side menu panel. And I've selected my celebration Mirage because I know it doesn't have any content in it. Now I'm going to choose my insert tab. I'm going to click on my insert tab and I'm going to choose images. Click on images and I can either select or upload an image. I'm going to choose to upload an image and I'm going to choose this image here and I'm going to open the image and it'll automatically insert it into my page. Now it is bordered here with these little dots. I can hover over. I'm going to do my corner, bottom right corner dot, and I'm just going to stretch this image to fit my page. Okay, and I can manipulate my image to fit my page. By clicking on the image, I have the option of cropping my image. By hovering over here at the top, I get a menu option of cropping my image, uncropping my image, adding a link, inserting a link, and that would be to another page within our site. So it gives you a menu option to select another page where if you want this image linked to that page. And it also gives you an option to delete your image. By clicking on the three little dots, it gives you more options. You can replace your image, and again it gives you the option of uploading a new image or selecting an image. You can add alternative text, and that means for those, it's an accessibility feature for those who are not able to see your content. Then you can add alternative text here so that they can see your, they can see the text rather than if they cannot see your content. And the last option is to add caption, which is also an accessibility feature. Let's continue exploring options for adding content to your site pages. You can simply add a divider by clicking on divider option in the right side menu panel. By clicking the divider option, a divider will appear, will automatically be inserted, and the trash can icon will also appear for deleting your divider. You can insert an image carousel as well. Image carousel can be inserted in the right side menu panel. I scroll down to image carousel, which is right below table of content and above button. Click on image carousel and it will prompt me to insert my images. By clicking on this little plus icon, I can add my images. And again, I get the option of uploading my images or selecting an image. I'm going to go ahead and select upload an image. And I'm going to select these 5 images to upload into my carousel. It tells me uploading 5 images. You can upload several images into your carousel, but a minimum of 2 images. An image carousel can be a great way to display documents, designs, various designs, or images, of course. Once your images are all uploaded, you can drag and drop images from your image carousel. You can organize them to your liking. The carousel option uploads the images but does not arrange them in any particular way. Once they have all been uploaded, you can click Insert. Now you can manipulate your carousel image to fit your page. By clicking on my image once and making sure the border appears, I can then choose on the upper left-hand corner, I can choose the gear setting icon, and there I can arrange my images and organize them to my liking. I can click on them and drag and drop the image. Once I have the images organized in the order that I want them to appear, I simply click Update and it'll update my image in my image carousel. When you are in the settings for editing your image carousel, by clicking on the upper right hand corner, the little gear icon, there you have other options for editing your carousel. You can choose to show the dots here at the bottom of your image or not show the dots. I recommend leaving the show dots option on. You also have the show captions option, which is by default turned on, and auto start is simply a personal preference. If you've made changes, you can click on Update to save your changes, or you can simply cancel out. Now you have your image carousel all set to go. From the Insert tab on my right side menu bar, I also have the option of adding buttons to my site pages. I'm going to scroll down and select Button, and it prompts me to name my button. I'm going to name it Hispanic Heritage Month. And then I can either insert a link or choose a page from my site to link it to. But I'm going to insert a link. And once I've done that, I click Insert. Now I have my button created on my page. I can move my button by clicking on it and simply dragging it and dropping it. I can create another button and name it EdTech, and it'll ask me to add a link. So I'll add my link here. And again, I can add a link, or I can choose for the button to link to another page in my site. But I'm going to add a link, click Insert, and now I've created another button. in my site page. Now I can drag and drop my EdTech button right next. I could drop it right next to my Hispanic Heritage button. And now I have buttons that are linked to web content from my site page. I could continue creating buttons to go all across this section if I'd like, or I can click on the buttons and separate the buttons if I'd like, spread them out a little bit. Okay, just by clicking, dragging, and dropping them. I can arrange them however I'd like. I can choose to put the Hispanic Heritage button towards the end and the EdTech button towards the front, or vice versa. Or I can also add more buttons. By clicking my button, I have the option to fill my button, to edit my button with this little pencil icon, or to remove my button or delete my button. By clicking on the drop down arrow right next to filled, I have options of just doing an outline for my button, outlined, or just doing the text only for my button, or I can choose to fill my button. Clicking the pencil icon allows me to edit my button. Once I've finished editing my button, I click Update, and it'll save my changes. Now that we've added our content to our page, we can rearrange the content by clicking on it and dragging and dropping it. We can move it up and down, left or right, and you can connect content above or below other inserted content. So if I've decided that I'd rather have my carousel on the top and the photo at the bottom, I can simply click on it and I can drag and drop it. Oops. Okay. Now my photo, I want it below, so I'll click on the photo and the border appears. I'll drag and drop that below. And then I can, just by clicking, dragging and dropping, I could shift it, organize it, move it up, down, however I'd like it. And now I see that my carousel is tiny here at the corner of this section here. So what I could do is I could click on that, the border will appear, and I can stretch it. I can stretch it as much as I want. And I stretched it to the right, and now I can stretch it, the bottom of it. And now there I have my carousel at the top. I still have my buttons here, and I have my image at the bottom. So that is the simple way to move your content around in your site. To share my site or add collaborators, here at the upper right side of my toolbar, I click the little person icon with the plus sign. I click on that icon, and there I will have the option to share my site with others. Because I'm in my APS Google domain, when I type the person, whomever I want to invite, to my site, my senior director, Aaron Jaramillo. So as soon as I start typing in his last name, it will automatically populate anyone who is inside my APS Google domain. So I'm going to select Aaron and my two colleagues, Tina and Janae. Here I see the pencil icon. That means that everyone I've invited, Aaron, Janae, and Tina, have editing access to my site. By clicking on the drop down arrow, then I can either give them editing privileges or I can give them view access only. So I can either choose to give them editing access or view access only. So I'm going to leave it on editing. Next, I have the option to notify the people who I have invited to my site. The notify people option is automatically clicked on. If I choose to notify people that I've invited to my site, it will send them the notification in the form of an email. And of course, we're in our APS domain, so it'll send it to their APS email. I can also choose by clicking on Add Message. I can choose to add a message to the notification. I can say, please review the site and let me know your thoughts. I can also choose to send a copy to myself of their notification. I can opt out of sending an email notification to people I've invited to my site by simply deselecting the Notify People option. And when I'm ready, I can click OK, and it'll prompt me, give me a notification that I am skipping sending email notifications to those I've invited to my site. And if my colleagues already know that I'm inviting them to the site and I don't need to send them an email notification, then I'll just go ahead and click OK. And now I see that I've invited people to my site. When I click here to see who I've invited to my site, I can scroll down and I see that so far I've invited 3 people to my site, and I am the owner of the site. I'm the creator, the owner of the site, and I see that Erin, Christina, and Janae all have editing privileges to my site, or editing access rather. If I click on the drop down arrow next to the pencil icon, I can change the access to certain specific people by simply, if I want Tina to only be able to view my published site, then I can change that access. And now I see a little eyeball icon. That means that she has view only access. I can do the same for the others by just clicking on can view published, or I can give them edit access if those who I want to collaborate with me on my site, and those who I just want them to be able to view only, then I can just send them the view only access. And then I can save changes. As the owner of the site, I have the option of clicking the box under Owner Settings to prevent editors from publishing, changing access, and adding new people to the site. I'm going to review my site before publishing it. So now I'm going to go back to the home page of my site by clicking Home. And I'm going to review my site to make sure I'm satisfied with the layout. I like the home page, going to the announcement page. And what I've noticed on the announcement page, and if I continue clicking on, I see that my banner no longer appears except for only in my home page. My banner is here at the top of my home page, but it's not on the rest of my pages. As I click through, I see that it is only in my home page. So I'm going to go back to my home page and I'm going to click. I have 2 ways of getting to the announcement banner through this little gear icon on my left-hand side, or I can click on my banner, on my toolbar at the top right. I can click on Settings and scroll down to the announcement banner. I'm going to continue to scroll down, and I see that the visibility is selected to only my home page. I can select it to appear on all my pages. Okay, I've done that, and I'm going to exit out, and now it's saving my changes. So now when I go to my announcement page and my assignment page, all my pages will now have my announcement banner. I've also noticed that not all my backgrounds are uniformed. In my home page, I see that the background is different from my other pages. So I'm going to go to the little paint palette option to select my background, and in my home page I selected emphasis 1. Now it'll change my background, and I can do the same to the other pages. I'm going to go under my assignment page and choose, as I hover over to the left hand side, I can choose the paint palette icon and select emphasis to make it uniformed throughout my site. In reviewing my site, I would like my resources page to read helpful links and other resources. Helpful links and other resources. Notice that once I change my title of my page, it does not change the title on my navigation bar. The title in your navigation bar is not linked to, or it's not the same as the title of your page, because the title in my navigation bar, I chose to read resources when I originally created the page. Before publishing your site, you can create custom paths to each of your pages. For example, by hovering over the right-hand side and clicking on the 3 little dots for each page, and then selecting properties, if this page read helpful links and other resources, had I named it that, and I would like to create a shorter path to the page once it's published, I can click here to this drop down arrow, click on the drop down arrow and advanced, and I can create a custom path. So if the name of my page read helpful links and other resources, then I can create a custom path to read resources only, and that is it's a shorter version of the URL for this page. You can create the custom path for each of your pages. Once you've selected the custom path for your page, click Done. We are finally ready to publish our site. At the top right of my toolbar is the Publish button. Click on the Publish button, and it's going to ask me to enter a URL. Notice that when we're working in our APS domain, all sites will begin with sites.google.com/aps.edu/. You want to choose a URL that is short and easy to remember. So I'm going to choose teacher student site. Before publishing my site, I want to manage my site access. I can click here on Manage, and that will take me into the access to share with others. I can manage the access in my draft before publishing my site or once it's published. So I'm going to click on Change next to draft. That's before my site is published. I'm going to click Change, and I have options here in my draft settings to make it public on the web. Anyone with the link only anyone in APS can find and access my site, anyone at APS with the link, or I can choose to share it only with specific people. In published, once my site is published, by clicking on change, it defaults to anyone at APS can find and view the published version, or I can change it to specific people can view when published, or anyone can find the published version. It automatically, because we are in our APS domain, it automatically defaults to anyone at APS can find and view the published version. I can see what kind of access people have to my site, and by scrolling down, I also see what kind of access specific people have to my site. I can change access to my site at any time, either in my draft before publishing my site or after my site has been published. I can change the access that specific people I've invited to my site have. For example, by clicking on the drop down arrow in the pencil next to the pencil icon that's next to the specific person I've invited to my site, I can choose to give them view access to my site, only view access to my published site. Once I click that, now it's prompting me to save the changes. After you've made any changes to your site, you want to make sure that you click on Save Changes before moving on. I'm going to save changes, click on Saving Changes. Now it's going to take me back to who has access to my site and what kind of access they have to my site. In this section, I also have the option of inviting other specific people to my site using their email addresses. And I can still choose to prevent editors from publishing, changing access, and adding new people to my site by clicking the box, checking the box under Owner Settings. Once I have made my selections, I click Done. The default before publishing the site is to send an email to individuals with the Can View Published permission. I can choose to deselect the notification option by clicking on the box. Then click Publish. I will receive a notification at the bottom of my screen that my site has been successfully published. It is important to periodically check and evaluate your site and how it looks to your audience that the site is intended for. At the upper right-hand side of your toolbar, there's a preview icon. Clicking the preview icon will give me a few options at the bottom of my screen of how my intended audience is viewing my site, either on their phone, on their tablet, or on a desktop. This completes our Google Sites instructional video. Thank you for joining me today.